Hey there. How are you?
You.
All right. Welcome, welcome. We're getting started. We're getting rolling, rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Lots of fun things to cover here today. Hopefully, we'll see how far we can get while the house is quiet. All right. Let's put it like that. A few things I want to get to. First thing, have you ever heard of a movie called Homestead?
I have not, but you had sent a trailer a little while ago, and it was surprising. I
Okay.
was surprised.
I'm going to go ahead and play that trailer here. Add this to the stage. And I have not seen the movie yet. I really want to see this movie. I just have not had time to.
Where's it playing?
So it was in theaters for a couple weeks, I think. But
Everyone wondered how the
this is from a film company called Angel Studios. And so Angel Studios has like their own platform, their own streaming service, basically. So anyone can go to Angel Studios and sign up. It's not that much. And they have some excellent content. If you've ever heard of that movie called Sound of Freedom, that's where that one came from. There's a movie out in theaters right now about Jesus. It's a very Christian focused area or streaming site, I would say. But it's very clean. It's very clean. And I think they have like a trial version too. So not only does Homestead, kind of like David Crowley's project, not only is Homestead, does it start out as a movie, then it spins off into a TV series. And they have some type of a documentary type series to it too. It's pretty fascinating. So I'm going to go ahead and play this about 2 minutes or so. I'm right back.
everyone wondered how the world ended.
We got hit.
Does the sun
America's just been attacked.
go on shining?
This is the story of how it began.
Los Angeles has been struck by a bomb.
Hold your breath. Hold your breath.
It might be nuclear.
I saw this.
So what?
We never come back.
After today, our lives will never be the same.
We have looting and widespread panic.
Hey!
Daddy has a place for us to go. We'll be together.
The city's on fire.
There's a guy, been planning for the big one. Called a few months back, needs security people.
What is this place?
Welcome to Homestead. Your guys have to learn how to farm.
We grow our food. We raise our animals. Can you handle yourself with a gun?
This might be the most prepared location in the Rockies. Everyone's
Rockies.
going in. And I mean everyone. My family's out here, and we're starving to death.
I wish we could help, but we can't.
You can or you won't.
Our kids need us to be strong.
Please. People are gonna die at this gate.
They're trespassers. The hills.
They're stealing your grain. They've cut off your solar power.
We need a world where people help strangers, not shoot at them.
Sometimes we think we're doing the right thing and then it all goes wrong.
It's the end of the world.
It's time for you to take full control. It's complicated. Do you think that you're above the law? Do you think that the rules aren't for you?
Is this an ark or is this a fortress?
It's our home.
It's the end of the world.
Pretty cool stuff. This could have been a prequel to Gray State. I think it has some very similar aspects to it. And as you'll see when we read a little bit of David Crowley's, the later version, I think, is more like Home State. But what did you think of that trailer?
Yeah, there were a lot of similarities.
There's a cut of the little grocery store scene. You saw that, people fighting in the grocery stores. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, the tear down of society and how people are going to attack each other. And it's, yeah, I mean, you just switch location and a little bit of the dialogue, and it's virtually the same movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It sure is. And it has the some of those theme. I like that I like the theme that it really has. That I felt Gray State didn't really have that in either script. Was kind of, what would you do? What would the world look like? Especially when they're talking about, like that one lady says, is this an ark or a fortress? I thought that was a very powerful statement, because it could be either, and that's the sad truth. And that's why we have preppers. That's why we have people who are preparing for exactly that. And what are they going to do if they hoard if they have all this stuff? Like that first scene right there, people are actually hoarding things. Are they going to share it, or just let the people die? Let the other people die, the people that come and knock on their door for help. We don't have enough food for everybody. We don't have enough for everybody. Sorry. You're basically...
Yeah, and that's where I think David had a little more reality than that one right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, there are people out there that have their little, hideaways, their bug out places, wherever. But with David, it was more of a reality. I mean, when stuff hits the fan, it's basically over. And, other movies like this one, they kind of make you feel like, oh, well, if we all band together and everybody, and that's not how people are. The reality is people will kill it. They would die killing everybody instead of helping and grow something. It's just weird how the psyche is when you get into a strange situation. And I think David really nailed it in his, but the similarities between these two, it's kind of uncanny.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the closest thing, the closest trailer, the closest concept, script, whatever you want to call it, that I've seen close to David Crowley's project. The Hollywood aspect, there's a lot to cover, and I don't even know where to start, or I don't know how far we're gonna get. But I figured we'll start with the script. Let's start with one of David Crowley's scripts. So I'm gonna go here and share. And I like the second one better. I felt like the first one is more like a Stephen King movie, but the second script is more like a Tom Clancy movie. And that's what that trailer kind of felt like. It felt more like that. And I think it actually has the nuclear bomb scene in it too, or they talk about it, So I'm just going to go through a little bit of this, because we have 3 versions of the Gray State script. One is from June 2nd, 2013. Another is dated May 12th, 2014. And a third is labeled as version 6. So I'm not sure if version 6 is a kind of like a rough draft to the May 12th, 2014 script. But I felt like the 2014 script is a lot better. If you like the Bohemian Grove and you like that type of stuff, you'll probably like the first script better. It's crazy. A lot of rapture, demons, shapeshifters, right-wing extremist bio attack, vaccines, surgical masks. It's got everything in there. But I felt like the second script that David did, the May 12th, 2014 one, felt just a little more grounded. Why is it trying to print up something here? Just want to do it. So hopefully, okay, let me see if I can get this up here. So this one, Catherine, as you know, there's no doubt that this is not a Danny August Mason co-production, right?
I that's a hill I'll die on. He has zero claim to any of this. Zero.
Got nothing. And maybe that's part of the problem, but I think it makes it a lot better. It's really hard to co-write anything. To co-write a little journal piece, a tiny little article is, for me, I found difficult. To co-write a book or to co-write a script or something like that is that's got to be challenging, especially with all of the pressure that David was probably put on with all these people. You got to put this in there. You got to put that in there. There's so many things. And it felt like they were just trying to cram everything into it. I think they threw in the Bohemian Grove thing for, because there was a big following out there of people who wanted to know what is happening at the Grove. I don't know how much of that, and that was really the center of the whole 2013 story. It felt like.
I need to go back and read that. I can't remember,
Yeah.
and I really think it depends on, and later on, and I think David hit the nail on the head. It depends on who it is you're working with. Like, I like right now, not going to give away too much, but Sophia and I are co-writing a book. And I am telling you, this girl has been the easiest person to work with.
Awesome.
She came up with an idea, and then I just started writing. She's like, okay, da 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 da. I started writing it, and it just is flowing. And it's, she has been so easy to work with. But then there are other people that like you were saying, that you try to work with, and they get really aggressive and very like controlling, and they want everything their way. And usually these are the type of people where I see like Danny and Sean, and where they want their name attached to something, but they aren't willing to do the work to get it there. They'll throw something out there and then say, oh no, it's half mine. And David did all the work. And I can see why he kicked him to the curb. He did everything, and they did nothing. Well, not nothing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, even nothing is something.
Yeah.
But this is the one, and you can download this free. This is out there. It's on my website, thegraystage.wordpress.com. This is the one from 2014. Did I go to the wrong? Yes, sure did. Gray State, written by David Crowley. Current revisions by David Crowley. 12 May 2014. Interesting way to phrase that too. And if that's a Hollywood thing, they phrase the date. I was always taught to do month, day, and year, but not a big deal. He's got it right there. He's got the copyright. This is just David. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Put his address there. A script like this, who would this have been given to? To the Mikes, MEG, Michael Entertainment, to anyone who may have wanted to, who was curious about it? Or is this a script you give? I don't think you give. You give a treatment to a company, right? You don't necessarily give them.
Yeah, I'm not sure how movie scripts go, but I would assume that he wouldn't give them the entire thing. They would kind of send a letter and then a synopsis, and then if they're interested, you could meet, and then they would look at the entire script. It's what I would assume.
Yeah, me too. 126 pages. I was taught about a page is a minute or so. That doesn't include any fight scenes or anything like that. So you're talking about maybe a 90-minute feature film. They'll probably stretch that out, maybe a little bit more. But it begins in Afghanistan. And I thought that was another interesting aspect to this too, because that's where David served. And if I recall, I forget if he was stop-loss while serving in Afghanistan or while serving in Iraq. I want to say Afghanistan. I could be wrong on that though. And of course, his wife is from Pakistan, which is right on the other hill side of Afghanistan, right in the same area. Starts out in Afghanistan Valley at sunrise. A lone Taliban insurgent, turban and slung AK, silhouetted against morning sky. He leads a column of fighters discreetly down the mountain pass into the valley, titled Tora Bora, Afghanistan, 8 weeks after 9/11, which is another thing that I think David was delving into and didn't talk about publicly that much. Didn't really go into the details of what his theory was. How did the planes drop, or how did the buildings drop? Were there planes? Were there bombs in the building too? What happened with building 7? So, and I don't really think this movie really covers that either, but it's fascinating that we're going right after September 11th. They're going right into Afghanistan, where they probably believe Osama bin Laden is there. The hero, the protagonist, right? Protagonist is the good guy, if I remember correctly, is Daniel Walker. So this is the name, which I think Daniel Walker is kind of a a morphing of the character you see in the 2012 trailer, Gray State, which was, I forget what his name was. I don't remember. I think he had a different name in the 2013 script, but it's pretty darn close. So 1,000 yards away in a dug-in observation post, Special Forces Staff Sergeant Daniel Walker watches them through a spotting scope. Team leader Eddie Knight rolls over. Is it him? Watching intensely through the scope, Daniel spots the flash of a face. Confirmed. Air Force JTAC operator Stack looks up from his maps. I think Stack is one of the characters that did make it into this newer version that was in the, I think he had a pretty big role in the 2013 script too. So you can see this is a key word because Geronimo is the code name for Osama bin Laden. This is all about getting Osama bin Laden. And what you have here as we go through it, someone called the CIA bitch, is the person who's going to be standing in their way. And as a lot of people may understand, that we had many chances to get Osama bin Laden. In fact, some people think that Osama bin Laden died because he had kidney failure even before 9/11, before the events of September 11th. So the CIA bitch is the one who's going to pretty much try to stand in Daniel's way. Because of what happens here in Afghanistan, Daniel then becomes a police officer. So you can see kind of a fall from grace, maybe, or maybe that's, I don't know. I mean, some people like me may look at it as a rise up. You serve over there, you do your job, you come back and you become a cop. I know a lot of people who have done that. So when I first read it, I was like, oh, it's kind of like a punishment or something. But I don't believe that was that was the case. It's kind of to show this character, Daniel Walker, as kind of your everyday average cop who's going to get caught up in some very strange stuff here. The news clip, the montage, the news 2001, after a chase through the Tora Bora Mountains by U.S. Special Forces, it appears that Osama bin Laden, the 9/11 mastermind, has escaped into Pakistan. News, without an obvious goal, the U.S. military presence in the Middle East has escalated into Iraq war, dead children, depleted uranium defects, newspaper clippings, Henry Kissinger quote. You got to have a good Henry Kissinger quote. Mr. Bohemian Grove himself there loves to party at the Bohemian Grove. So there's still a little Grove reference there. But what is a good movie without Henry Kissinger's ugly face? That long face. Long, strong face. Depopulation should be the highest priority of U.S. foreign policy towards the third world. It's probably a real clip, too. It's probably a real quote that Henry Kissinger said. I would not doubt that at all. A sweaty preacher to his congregation. I can just imagine that one. War, famine, collapse, pray, Christians, judgment is at hand, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Yeah, well. Not my type of preacher, but the doomsday preachers, right? What do you think about this name, GNN News? This is another thing that made it from the 2012 trailer to the news company, obviously a continuation of CNN. I don't know what GNN stands for, maybe Global News Network or something, but it does go through the fact, or not the fact, because I don't agree with this, but it goes through the theory that Osama bin Laden has finally been killed in 2011. Oh, I skipped this one. World leaders are laughing with crowds of cheering sycophants. Sycophants? Am I saying that right?
Sycophants. Yeah.
Waving political campaign signs, and I can't even pronounce this name, but this is the main. I believe this is the antagonist here, right? I could be wrong. You're a sick, Wasik? I don't know. You're a sick, waste person. You're very sick. But however you say it, I believe this is the antagonist of the whole film here. This is the one that's going to be tough to get over. So then we go back to Kissinger. Indie media confronting Kissinger with camera before being pushed out by security, which was another thing that was happening right around that time. Late night comedian Jay Leno, and then before anyone could see it, they dumped the body into the ocean. Oh, That's another fascinating one. And worldwide rioting. News clips 2011 helicopter full of Navy SEALs responsible for death of Osama bin Laden shot down, all killed in action. U.S. Special Forces community has begun to voice its distrust to its leaders. Here comes the police state and the rise against the New World Order. Today, the president announced expansion of powers granted the National Security Division, an agency critics are calling a privatized army. Sounds like a militia, maybe? The United States, Russia, and China attempt peace negotiations after North Korea begins a barrage of artillery against Seoul, and that's a big one right there. That could still bring about a lot of scary stuff. The only way we can cull North Korea is the nuclear option. So this is where it all comes down here. The nuclear option, because I don't know about you, Catherine, how else do you see this us plunging in to the gray state without the nuclear option? They tried with the bio thing that happened with COVID. I think they got pretty close. I thought it was a pretty good test run, but I don't think they were able to achieve what they wanted to.
Well, and it's interesting because even today they're still talking. You see news clips or little articles or whatever, and they're still talking about if Korea's shot one missile here, how many of ours would it take to go and completely annihilate them with nuclear bombs? And I don't know, it's scary. It's scary to think that David was talking about this way back then.
Yeah. I'll read just a little bit more. We'll get into some of the contracts and stuff like that too. The mandatory RFID clinics and gun registration laws have passed. Technological implication that the news is being fed into everyone's smartphone and TV. Well, I think we're there. Pretty much there right now. Waist like a tall, thin, sinister man in a suit in a 1970s TV show interview. In the next century, nations as we know it will be obsolete. All states will recognize a single global authority. We will have a new world order, either by consent or conquest. And I believe that's also some of this, a variation of this is from the 2012 trailer too. Then we go to Minneapolis. Why not go to Minneapolis? Why shouldn't everything start there in this craziness here? It wouldn't need to be in Minneapolis. A black National Security Division helicopter thumps over a city neighborhood, the machine gunner looking out. That is directly from something that they filmed from the B. I think that is in the trailer too. Something similar to that. There is that clip of those people, of the soldiers hovering overhead of the cities. And this is the world that Daniel Walker wakes up to. And this is where he wakes up and realizes, it's time to go to work. So that's just kind of how the thing opened. I mean, there's a lot there. There is a lot there that shows Daniel, getting ready, and what he's doing. All he's doing is he's getting ready to start his day at the Minnesota Police Department. Just another day there after the battle scars, after all of that. He's just going to work in this war zone. Just another war zone. And I really like this here too. When he's in the city parking lot, there's gunshots, there's sirens going off. So you can tell it's not a peaceful zone that he's waking up into. A big black WASIC symbol has been spray painted over his 9/11 Truth bumper sticker. Another little reference to September 11th. And that's where I'll stop it right there. There are some great stuff. Well, I guess there is this one other one, the City Road. Where was it? I thought I saw it. No, didn't see that. Well, yeah, here we go, right here. Look at this. Daniel drives past a drab shopping district. No dollars accepted. Signs. Lots of vacancies. And that kind of reminded me of what we saw during COVID. Again, not the full thing, but just kind of a hint of it. So this WASIC guy is the one who is going to be running this new world order. And of course, we have our main character, Daniel. And again, it's 126 pages. If anybody wants to read it, I'll actually put it in the I'll put the link in the chat if anybody wants to download it.
Yeah, I need to go back and read that again. It's
It's a good one, I think. I think it's a good one. I think I forget which one I read. I think I read this one first, and then I read the 2013 one. I was like, this is bizarre. The 2013 one is just so strange. I think, yeah, because we had to screenshot it. Somebody found it on some website, the 2013 script. And so I'm sitting there on my phone, literally screenshotting every page. And within a couple of days, it was gone. It was gone. So it was a crazy.
And that's the thing, though, as a writer, and like I said, I'm really glad Sophia she's been super, super easy to work with. But right now, what you do in your first one, you just dump it. You just put everything down on paper, and it doesn't matter. You just throw it out there. You get everything, every scene, anything that you want. And then through the revisions, you're like, okay, yeah, we don't want that. Wait, no, we don't want that. Wait, add this in. And that's how I see his initial script. It was like the dump, the brain dump, just to get it all in. And everybody who doesn't seem to understand how writing works, then all of a sudden they're like going, look how crazy he was. Or because we don't know, maybe that's where Danny August Mason was throwing in some ideas. And so as an initial dump, you just write it and get it all down on paper. And then through the revisions, you get rid of what you don't want. So as David is revising, he's like, I don't want to go the direction these guys were talking. I have a whole different vision. And so they're thinking, this is all mine. I have a part of this, when nothing that they had to say is even still in the last script, the revision that's going to be made. So, but it is interesting, and it makes sense, because of where he was and the time that it was, that a lot of things he included was like 9/11 and Osama bin Laden.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was crazy that they started there, but there's really no payoff. And so it left me a little bit wondering, okay, like, obviously every scene needs to lead somewhere, needs to lead into something, but I just felt like there was really no payoff with that. And really, if you read the last 3 or 4 pages, it's hard to follow, because it's cutting 2 scenes. David is doing some editing here. He's cutting 2 scenes back and forth. And so for me, it made it very hard to follow, because he's talking with somebody, and then at the same time, he's also explaining what is happening. So obviously it would look a lot better on film, but I'd love to see somebody do something with this thing. Take this script and run it through AI or something like that, and let's see what this actually looks like here. But as in most great movies, not if you want to have a sequel, the main character dies. So there are other people that do live, but you will see Daniel Walker talking with this guy named Steve, and he pretty much he dies. So where do you go from there? And I don't know. I think it was interesting that the Mikes really wanted to bring it to a TV series. And so how would that work? Who would stay in here? But you can see on page 124, yeah, Daniel dies right there. Daniel tries to hold the gun on Wasik, his vision blurring, his eyes go up to the ticking floor counter. He doesn't want to die, but he can't hold on anymore. So Wasik sneers, stands, and brushes him off. The elevator dings open. Men with guns and flashlights flood in. Wasik is struck in the stomach and forced to his knees by the soldiers. So not a happy ending for Wasik, but Daniel does his job. And moving to the prosthetic legs, moves to Daniel, takes off his mask. It's Eddie Knight. He checks Daniel's breaching pulse with 2 fingers. Daniel, no one wants to give up everything. Most of us just want to live in peace. So I'll have to go back and read that. Maybe it's not really Daniel, but it says it's Daniel here. So moves to Daniel, takes off his mask. Oh, Eddie Knight. I see. Eddie Knight sees Daniel at the end. It's been a while since I've read this too. Then chaos on the Capitol lawn. Special Forces soldiers run from helicopters, ramps, wearing U.S. flag patches. So in the end, the USA takes over. The good guys from the USA, led by this guy named Eddie, what's his last name? Eddie Knight, and the knight in shining armor. They get the country back from the globalist Wasik. Freedom is not something you have. It is what you are. And sometimes that's a scary place to be. With the cabin full of U.S. Army funeral honors, Eddie Stack and some other 3% fighters, I guess, or bury Daniel near the cabin. And there you go. A lineup of NSD and government officials, Wasik's friends on stools. Someone reads final recitation. So how does the story end? And so this is where it was a little confusing to me, because Daniel's already dead, but obviously he's talking to somebody. I believe this is like this guy named Steve and Daniel are kind of talking. They're watching. Yeah, they're watching.
Yeah, I think that's probably like in movies where they either will bring in a previous clip of showing a person talking in a prior time, where the scenes shoot back and forth, where that they're like remembering.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, somebody's watching a videotape of Daniel and Steve talking about this stuff as Wasik and his people are being hung. The stools are kicked out. Finally reaching Wasik, he dangles without changing expression. And there it is. And that is kind of where it ends. Daniel's done speaking. He waits nervously. Yeah, you're right. The red recording button blinks. Did that answer your question? I think the light is wreaking havoc on the skin. So can we do it again? Daniel laughs. His first in a long time. Fade to black. So the way it ends to me is very confusing. Very confusing. Leaving the door open, kind of, but obviously there's a deeper meaning. And so I don't know, David. I felt like he was on another level, and it's hard for me to follow whatever he was trying to say there. I did not get it. I didn't get it in the end.
And I don't know if we really would, because like you said, it's like he wrote and he thought from an experience we don't have. We didn't go over there. We weren't part of the fight scene and the war, so we can't understand where he was going. But like you said, it's like he thought in layers. He wrote in layers. And so what we see on the outside going, they're just two people and they're showing a clip of them interviewing each other and blah, blah. But to him, it could have been 12,000 layers deeper than that.
Right. And I would not doubt it at all. So that's all I really wanted to cover about the scripts themselves. And then I thought we would maybe get into a little bit on some of the contracts that we have here. I haven't read through these contracts in a while either. Don't know if I have them all in just one place. I'm just going to have to search for them all. I should have something like that just shows them. I should have put them in that same little blog thing that I did there with it, but let's see. So on the website, police got the forensic, got all of that good stuff. What is this one? Oh, it's an FEC. Yeah. Day One Journal is there. The fraudulent police thing, the autopsies, all that is there. David Crowley scripts. Really want to go through the V6 one at some point and see if they are the same, if they are similar, or what makes them similar, if anything. The phone records, and here's some of the Hollywood deal. So there's David's contract. We got David's lawyer correspondence, David's lawyer bill, Danny Mason and David Crowley email exchange, Danny Mason's Gray State release agreement that he never signed, and Danny Mason's response letter to David Crowley. These are all things that I don't know if I had these when I wrote the first book, or wrote the Gray Stage, but I felt like there's a lot to cover here, and I don't really think I really went there in the first book. But all this really needs to be covered. It needs to be talked about. So let's go through some of this. Feel free to stop me at any time here. This is the 3-page agreement with Gray State and Michael Entertainment Group, motion picture rights. This is for the option and the purchase agreement deal memo. The option purchase agreement deal memo is made this 25th day of July 2014. So this is just a few days before the Ranya's birthday party, where everybody all of a sudden is right there. Everybody's at that. I believe that was like August 6th or August 7th, something like that, one of those Saturdays, Sundays. They're all there, and they have to know about this option, or somebody has to know something that is going on, because there was a conduit between the Michael Entertainment Group and David Crowley, and I believe we know who that is too. This person didn't want to be mentioned. Michael Entertainment Group didn't want to be mentioned, but it's not hard to find and to figure out who that person is. And I don't know why it's a big deal that they don't want to be mentioned, but it is public knowledge.
That's weird.
So this is the actual option agreement here between MEG, Michael Entertainment Group, who I can't find anymore. Their website, everything out there that they used to have, it's like after this happened, I don't know what. I think they just kind of went their own ways, or that was the end. I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. And David Crowley, an entity to be later designated hereinafter owner. So what does this mean? Is this David Crowley and somebody else, or are they kind of giving they're going to give him another name later on? I never understood this either, what this means.
It could be, because usually what you do once you start making money, you create an LLC or something where everything then falls under a different business so you can be protected.
Gotcha. So whatever David's film group or whatever he was going to name it, kind of like the Michael Entertainment Group, David Crowley.
Because if you look in it says owner, not owners.
So
it's not plural.
That's a good point. Purpose: MEG and Gray State plan to enter into an option and purchase agreement for the acquisition of the theatrical motion picture, the picture rights, to the original screenplay currently known as Gray State, written by David Crowley.
Mm-hmm.
No one else.
Yep. It's everywhere. His name is the only one that is ever mentioned. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's all on him. It goes through all of this. It goes through what he's gonna get, when he's gonna get it. The option price, $35,000, not applicable to purchase price. The second option price, $35,000. So I wonder if they gave that to him. Well, I don't know if this is even signed, but I wonder if they ever gave him that, or if this was kind of the, still in the process, because this is for the theatrical motion picture. And then we hear about it's being turned into a TV series later, according to the Michael Entertainment Group. They're the ones that brought that up. First time I ever heard that. I thought the whole deal was dead until Dan Hennon spoke with the Michael Entertainment head, and he was like, "No, we were gonna try to pitch this as a TV series." So maybe the movie was dead. Maybe there's some truth to that the movie was dead, but the project wasn't dead. I think there's no doubt.
And that's just it too. That's something people don't understand. This agreement here is to purchase the the rights to the screenplay, I mean. And so once they get those rights, it then becomes theirs, and they can do whatever they want with it. They can make it into a book, a movie, a TV show, a free thing in the park. They can do whatever they want with it at that point. So, so when they're saying, well, we wanted to do a TV show. So it was a movie. He wrote a movie, but then they wanted to change it because it would have been theirs.
Gotcha.
And that's all perfectly legal.
Fascinating. Fascinating stuff here. And this was a option for 12 months. So they would have 12 months to do something with it, right? Or else they'd have to get a whole new contract. The purchase price. So purchase price, 5% of the total budget with a floor of 300,000 and a ceiling of 900. So that would be 5%, right? I can't do the math, but is that 5% of the 25 million that they're talking about? Again, this stuff, conscious stuff is way over my head. But
Well,
here it is.
I mean, the way I read that, it's, there's what they are giving that budget for to do that at the time was 30 million. But whether or not it would have been the full 30 million, we don't know. But whatever 5% of whatever they spent on the budget is what they would pay, not necessarily 5% of the 30 million.
Gotcha. And so this 300,000 to 900,000 would be what David's cut would have been, is what it sounds like, if I'm reading that right.
Yeah, minus whatever they priorly paid him, the 70 grand. Yeah.
So it would have to be at a minimum 300 grand, but at a maximum 900. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's how I read it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then it goes into some rights that are granted. There's if producer fails to exercise any of the prequels, sequel, digital, etc., within 5 years of the release, such rights will revert to the owner. So, yeah, so they could not only if this did well, they could make a prequel, they can make a sequel, they would pretty much kind of own this thing until at least for another 5 years, right?
Yep.
And so then it would be on, David would be, even if David wanted to give the Gray State Goons some type of cut or something, he legally couldn't have at that point.
I mean, not in a legal sense. He could sit there and write out a personal check, but I don't think is what he would do because they have no rights to it. Everything right here is between David and them. That's it. And they show on there because they have to legally who owns what they're trying to purchase, and who owns it is David. End of story.
Okay. So when it says the owner retained rights, the shall not include the ancillary rights to the existing material. So anything that was already done would still be under David would still own the rights to everyone that was in the trailer, to the footage, to the characters. I mean, and maybe that's why the 2014 script looks so different and doesn't have the same characters that are in the 2012 trailer. 2012 trailer, Danny August Mason's character name, I believe, is John Wink or something like that. It is not Daniel Walker. So the fact that David is changing characters and changing names to the main character, because obviously in the 2012 trailer, I don't think there's any doubt that the main character was Danny August Mason's character, who was not in the 2014 script. And maybe this is why here.
And again, this is all standard operating procedure. Like when I had my very first book published, there were names I had of my characters in there. And when it was sent to the publisher, they're like, no, we need these names changed. And when we want the title changed of the book. So just because you write something, which they would probably even change the Gray State, it probably wouldn't even have remained that title. So you have to go in understanding, yeah, this is your baby and you may be attached to it, but they're going to come in and go, you know what? We don't like the name John. We want the name William, and you better put that in there. Or, so it's just how it works. And so he would then, like you were saying, David would then still be able to maintain all the rights to everything he did prior to the purchase of that agreement. And then they'll make the changes that they want. Right.
Yeah. But it's interesting that the name was changed to Daniel, the main character, which is obviously Danny August Mason's, that's his name, Daniel August Mason, but it's also David's dad's name too. So I just wondered I always wonder where some of these names come from, but Walker, Texas Rangers, I always thought, I don't know, that sometimes they put a lot of effort into the names and sometimes they just leave it open for people like me to speculate all day on. So whatever it is. But it sounds like the producers could still use those characters, and they could, as long as David was okay with it, they could still use some of those characters. Because I think I think everybody wanted to see Danny August Mason there. Anyone who liked the 2012 trailer, I think it would have been kind of disappointing if his character was not in there. What do you think? I'm opening up the rabbit hole for Catherine.
I am not a Danny August Mason fan. I'm not saying he doesn't have any talent, but he's not somebody I would pay to see. Not even I wouldn't even pay cable to watch him. No.
When you watch the trailer, the 2012 trailer, he doesn't. I mean,
no, he does, and I love action movies. Really, I really do. He's
a martial artist.
I don't care. Whatever. He's okay. I've known a lot of guys who actually owned, things and have done martial arts. And, Danny's okay. I'm not going to say he's horrible, but he just doesn't do it for me. It's like, and that's okay. It's okay if other people like him. But yeah, he's too, what do you call but okay, I don't like him as a person, but you have to have a certain ego in this business, right? You have to. And he has that ego, which is good, but then he takes it a notch too far. So
yeah, I think the first time we hear his character I don't think his character talks in the first trailer. I don't think so. But I remember they did a couple little promos and things like that where you did get to hear his character talk. And I did kind of feel like if his character spoke less, the less he spoke, the more I'd probably like him. Yes. So I mean, I do think, like, anyone who loved the 2012 trailer, and then when they go and they see that they're making this movie, they're probably going to want to see Danny August Mason's character in it. I don't know. I don't
like to watch him die. the character die. Oh my God. I know I have to put that caveat because I'm not. Any,
no, we don't want anyone to.
No, I don't want anybody hurt. Not even him. I don't like him, but I wouldn't want him hurt. But yeah the character's like, let's watch.
You'd like to see the character killed off, like Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue, kind of in the first scene is gone. Okay, well, where's the movie go from here? Let me go back to a little bit more of the option. We're on page 2 here. So, yeah, the owner, written, sequel, prequel, publishing rights. So, I mean, it's just more of planning for the future. This is in July here, so we're about 5 or 6 months before David dies. Everything is happening so fast at this point. First negotiations there. The owner setup bonus here too. Major studio, minor, mini major, cable network. So there it is right there. The cable network, a TV show. A little bit less, right? A little bit less money, but still something there. So I think you're absolutely right that they were thinking more than just a major studio. No, what about a mini studio? I mean, and they were also thinking, well, let's, what if this gets on? Unless that's for the TV, right? Once the movie goes out of the theaters and then it goes into the TV, right?
Yeah, because once they start production and they then have to pitch it to, of course they're going to try to get it into a major studio. And if they can't, then you have to work your way down. And they felt strong enough in what he did that they would at least get it on a cable network.
Yeah.
So, they're like, this is where we, the least we can go, but we're going to shoot for major here.
Yeah. And this is just a bonus. This 75 to 25 or to 15 grand. It's just a bonus on top of everything else. So then there's some rewrites, the consultant fee, travel expenses, owner's fee per Writers Guild Association for any rewrites or polishes. So I was curious about that too. How does that work? Were they going to try to have him write it, have him rewrite it? Were they going to take it on their own and then get somebody else to write it? They don't really.
They're not.
interview, they don't really talk about that. They do make it clear that they were not going to have David as the producer, or I'm sorry, as the director. If owner is rendering service, producer will pay owner and accommodation expenses with producer MFN. So yeah, I don't know, but I don't think I don't know. I don't know. How does that read to you? Do you think they were still going to have David write it or do the rewrites? He was rewriting this thing up until he died.
Well, it says owners. So the consultation fee and expenses, it just says the owner's fee per the Writers Guild, whatever they say for any rewrite. So David would, I'm reading this as if they need a rewrite, David's fee would be covered per the WGA regulations.
Okay.
And that's just a guess. But that's how I read it.
He would have meaningful consultation with producer and any other screenwriter regarding any rewrites. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then of course he'd be entitled to a fee. So this is all about money here. All about money. Oh, yeah. All about rights.
And he's the only one.
He's the only one there. They're not expecting anybody else. The credit, so he'd have his credit there, written by, print and screen and credit equal to all aspects. Right there, boom, boom, boom. If major studio production, owner will receive a producer credited equal in all aspects. So he definitely would have been a producer. Writing credits will be determined according to WGA rules and regulations. So it probably would depend on how much of the final script he would have, how much control he would have, or how much writing he actually did on it. But I would assume he's going to give some type of writing credit. Maybe not the first writing credit, but somewhere.
Yeah, he would be given the credit, but then they would also, because they have professional writers as well. So it might be a studio or whatever.
And then there's some other things. Passive payments for all TV or network works created by the pitcher, standard audit revisions, film festivals, all good stuff here. And then, of course, there is no date, TBD. So there wasn't a date yet to this. And we don't have the official one.
See, right there at the very beginning where you said at the very top where it's, another entity or whatever. And I'm like, it's probably because he's looking to create an LLC. That right there tells you that's why
that's
they
the
left that. Yeah, because he needed to create an LLC to protect himself.
Who created an LLC after David died?
Jeez, who did
Mr.
that?
Danny August Mason.
Mason, yeah.
Gray State Universe, I believe, was the name of it. And then tried to pitch a similar story to the same company here, to MEG. So that's the 3-page agreement right there. And so anything on that? Let me go back here.
Yeah, see, David Crowley, an entity to be later identified. That's the LLC. That's at the very end. So that tells you between the first page and the last page that David was the only owner.
There. Boom. Okay. Well, there is that one. I want to get into a few other things. Just need to take a quick break here. So what I'm going to do is going to go back. I found this. Hopefully they'll let us play it. They let us play the trailer, so hopefully Angel Studios will be okay with this. This is just a spoiler that they have here. Tense situation arises in the Homestead SWAT versus Homestead Angel Studios movie scene. So if you haven't seen it, if you don't like spoilers, just cut out the next 5 minutes here, and we'll play this right here, and I'll be right back.
I told you FEMA would be here.
Jeff, you're gonna want to see this.
What's that?
That don't look like FEMA. report. Brought the gate down.
Bing, give me some gun food. We have contact main gate. QRF2. Holding reserve on the patio. Hold fire. Confirm. All team leaders, hold your fire. Hold your fire until I give the command. We got the high ground.
This is the Oakwood Police Department. Lay down your arms and surrender.
Man, those are police, bro. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not.
This is your final warning. Lay down your weapons.
You hear me, bro? Those are police. If we give up our guns now, we will never get them back.
Harvey, what the heck is going on?
Ian, you're a part of this?
Well, yeah, this is my home. What's with the tactical response?
We heard there's a survival gang up here murdering people.
Well, I assume you have a warrant, right? It's okay. It's okay.
There's probable cause. There's supposed restricted weapons.
Well, that doesn't sound probable to me, Javi. I mean, come on. I've been at barbecues at your house with more weapons than this.
Arrest that man, Lieutenant. This is an illegal gathering.
Hold on. Hey, look. You're surrounded by special forces soldiers with machine guns. We can talk through this like rational men.
Time to go by feeling, brother. Don't kill him, Jeff. You hear me? Look, it feels wrong because it is wrong.
We are the law.
We are here.
Please, sir, put down the megaphone.
No, you can't let this guy talk to you like you're some
Get back in the APC.
We are the police. We're here to make sure.
Get back in the APC now!
Not until we inventory every gun and every bullet on this property and put it to evidence.
Javi, you gotta stop this before someone gets hurt.
Bring up the trucks! Bring them up! Want all you people to put your food in the trucks in an orderly fashion.
You gotta shut this guy up before someone gets hurt here.
This gathering is illegal and shall disband.
Javi, shut this
We
guy
shall
up
confiscate
now.
all food for fair and equitable distribution by the city of Oakwood through its legal charter. Do you think that you're above the law? Do you think that the rules aren't for you? Huh? Jeff?
It's all right, guys. It's okay.
Everyone stay calm.
We're in position, over.
Press the fire.
Ceasefire!
Hold your fire. Why are you shooting over their heads, man?
Hold your fire!
Man down!
Man down, man down! Man!
I do not let them leave, Jeff. Next time they won't come down the middle road like idiots. All right, they'll come to the forest. It'll be a real fight. Shut up, Benny.
Don't shoot! Put your weapons at the ground and back up slowly.
Stop it right there. Little spoiler, but still a very interesting, fascinating movie, and may have spoiled who lives and who dies, who makes it to the TV series and who does it, but there it is.
He was shot.
He was shot, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it hit the heart, right? It hit a little bit above the heart, maybe.
I didn't even see where he got shot.
He took one about right here, I believe. So he may be all right. He may live.
Well, you got the brachial artery under there, so it depends on if it nicked the
on
artery.
his contract deal, on his option deal, if he has a 3-movie contract or a 1-movie contract.
Yeah, it's like you're over.
Yeah, that's what it really comes down to. But it's a pretty good scene, and it does. I think it's a good movie. Just it doesn't go. It's not too dark. It's not sexualized. It's not going to be a lot of cussing. If there's going to be, I probably won't be any cussing in this thing. But it just shows that you can make good movies. You can make decent movies without having to go real, to be realistic. I've always been someone who loves to keep my fiction and my nonfiction separate. It's so difficult to kind of, I remember when I was a kid, those lines started being blurred, and it made a lot of money. The movie industries, the businesses were making a lot of money. So I think they kept doing it. They're still doing it. I think they've gone so far now that we have companies out there that are trying to push back and say, you know what, we don't need to show the rape. We don't need to show the sexualization. We don't need to have everybody cussing every fourth word in our script is somebody cussing. You can make decent movies and make good movies that are not corny too at the same time. And I think this movie and a lot of the movies from that company really show that they can do that. I think Sound of Freedom did that very, very well, where there's a lot of things that they could have shown in that movie.
And it reminds me of, I don't know, you might be too young. You're a young, but there used to be a company called Feature Films for Families, and they did nothing but movies that had no skin, no swearing, and but some of those, some were stupid, but some of them were really good. I mean, my kids used, even when they were teenagers, go, "Hey, can we watch that movie this weekend?" So yeah.
It is possible. It takes work, it takes a little effort, but it's definitely possible. So PureFlix, Angel Studios, there's another one, I can't remember what the other one is. Yeah, Family Focus or something like that. There are a few.
Focus on the Family?
Focus on the Family, I think it is called. Yeah, so there are a few good ones out there that can make good movies and good TV shows and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to have all of the dirty, raunchy stuff that will get taken out of the cable version anyways. They just keep it all right there. Of course, now they keep it all in. For it used to be shocking. It used to be shocking when you would see that. And it's not any, it's just, we're so desensitized to it, and so you go back and watch some of those old movies with Mel. I don't know why in every Mel Gibson movie they had to show his butt for some reason. Like, I mean, these are guys that are watching this movie. I don't want to see another guy's butt. I just never understood that. But they would show women too. They show them nude. So maybe it was this whole like, you have to be fair. We're going to be equal. We're going to show everybody nude. And then, it just kind of ruins the whole thing. If it doesn't advance the story, I really don't want to see it. And I really love the challenge to say, can you still make a good movie without having all of that dirty stuff in there? And I think there are some great movies out there that are proving that. Well, I think we're going to leave this one here, my friend. Any final words? Next time, hopefully we can come back again. And I want to go through some of the back and forth between Danny August Mason and David Crowley. But thank you very much for joining me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. This was fun. But that's all I said. And I hope you guys enjoy it and keep coming back and watching Greg.
We'll be back. You just never know. All right. God bless you, everybody. Thanks, Catherine. Nice chatting with you.